is Tai Ann with Tai Ann TV, and today we have our first interview with Micah Schmidt, owner, CEO, and lead photographer of Double Knot Photography here in Abilene, Texas. She and her husband own a small business here where they employ 12 different people, and they specialize in wedding, film, and families. And so we're going to join her in talking about how she cooperates with the Lord in her business. Hey Micah, thanks for joining us today. So you own a photography business, is that right?
I do.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, I'm the owner of Double Knot Photography. We've been shooting for about 8 years now, and when we began, we just started shooting weddings. It was our passion to photograph love, so engaged couples and brides through their wedding day, and we've since then branched out into wedding films to be able to document a different perspective on the wedding day, and we've also launched the families part. So we begin with our brides, and hopefully we can follow them from start to finish, and once they have families and children, so that we'll become their lifetime photographer.
That's really awesome. That speaks a lot about your brand, to be able to take somebody from the moment they begin a family and to walk them through their entire journey. I really love that. So let's see here. I want to know a little bit more about your business and how you cooperate with God. Has this always been an idea that's been natural to you, or was there a time when you were like, oh, I need to bring God into my business? Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Whenever I thought about what I want to do for the rest of my life, I wanted it to be a passion and something that I didn't feel like I was going to work every day. You know, it was something that I look forward to. So whenever I started pursuing photography, I understood from the beginning that the camera was a tool to get me before people, because I'm equally as passionate about people and sewing into their lives as I am about capturing moments and that they can remember forever. So the Lord's always been an integral part from start to finish. So thinking about not having Him as the center of my business and my dreaming and what I want to do for the rest of my life, it was just, He's always been there. So
that is incredibly beautiful, and it speaks a lot about your character. So thank you for sharing that with us. So if you could sum up your business in just a couple of words, do you know what those words might be?
When we started this year, you rethink where you want to head and what you want to be about. And so the 3 words that came from my heart were genuine, inspired, and passionate.
Okay, why were those words significant to Double Knot Photography?
Being authentic and genuine has really been a core value of mine from the beginning. Whenever you meet me, I'm a very transparent person. What you see is what you get. And I always wanted that to be carried through from start to finish when I'm working with brides and whenever I have employees, that we are completely genuine in who we are. And then when I think about inspired, of course our inspiration comes from the Lord. Like, He's the one that motivates us, but as He inspires us with His love, then the inspiration comes from the love that we capture on the human level, the interaction with couples. And then passionate, going back to my story of I always wanted to love what I did, and we're very passionate about what we do.
So a minute ago, you were talking about how you began to dream with the Lord when you got a camera. What do you mean by dreaming with the Lord?
Well, when it began, trying to pursue, I was in college and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I always knew I wanted to shoot weddings. When I started this business, that was the first thing on my radar. But as I just kind of evolved into the photographer that I wanted to be and grew this business, we started in Granbury and Stephenville, went to Fort Worth and Dallas, and then we moved to West Texas. As I transitioned here, basically starting your business over from scratch, moving to a new city, I learned just the power of paying attention to what's inside of me. The Bible says, one of the versions says, whatsoever things you desire when you pray, believe that you will receive them and you will have them. And so I began to pay attention to being in the presence of the Lord, what was important to me, and who I wanted to be, what kind of photographer, what kind of images I want to shoot, staying true to who the Lord created me to be and not comparing myself against any other photographers. But I learned that even though it was kind of risky to dream with the Lord, because it's easy to put limitations on yourself and to think, well, who am I to do that? Or who am I to ask the Lord for something like that? I learned that it was fun and that there was some security in that the more I dreamed, the more free I became and confident in how He created me to be. So dreaming is very natural for me now. As I've hired more people, and as we were growing the business, my passion was to just shoot and to interact with brides. And so now we have a structure where I can focus on that very thing. And as I've learned what to say yes to and what to say no to, there's more of a creative freedom for me to dream and to believe that the things that are in my heart can be achieved.
So basically you're telling me that dreaming with God is one of the ways that you cooperate with Him in business. And most of your dreaming, if I heard you correctly, comes out of you resting in the presence. So is rest another pillar of your business?
It hasn't always been, but it's a place that I've become more comfortable with. I was raised in a very hardworking family. Nothing was handed to us on a silver platter. I had a strong work ethic.
Good.
Knew how to just put my hand to the plow and not be afraid to sweat and do whatever it took to accomplish something. And so with that almost came like this belief that if I work hard enough, then I'll see and reap the rewards. So with this strong work ethic, I just had this belief that if I wasn't working hard all the time, I was lazy. And I wanted to be the very opposite of lazy. And I had this belief that if I wasn't constantly spinning my wheels on how to be better or how to grow this business or whatever, that I wasn't being faithful to the Lord. And I remember being in church services where they would have testimonies of people that would get in the presence of the Lord, and they would get these downloads from heaven about strategies. And I remember I was excited for them, but I almost felt like it was ridiculous, because I thought, well, that's easy. It's not fair that they can just sit and soak.
Why them?
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. So, I would try sitting in the presence of the Lord and being like, I just need a download, but nothing would ever happen. And so as we wrapped up this last year, something the Lord impressed on my heart was rest, to plan for it. And it scared me, because I thought if I'm resting, it means I'm not working, and that means I'm not bringing home money for my family. But I knew that it was something that the Lord was calling me to. So I strategically planned time that even in my phone, it said rest every single day. And it was hard for me the first few weeks because I felt like I needed to be doing something. But what I didn't realize is the blessing that comes from just resting.
That's really incredible. And so basically what you just described is how the Lord's burden is easy and the Lord's burden is light. And He wants that even for your business. And He wants that for your business too. So let's learn some more about this. Now, a minute ago, you talked about something that I'd like us to jump back to. You were talking about how you had to overcome a mindset that work, you couldn't rest because work had to mean you were putting your hand to the plow and you were going after it. What I want to know is the way that you handled that mindset, the way that you went from I have to strive to I have to rest. I know there's more in the way that we all as business owners, we struggle with mindsets. We hit these brick walls where we're like, how do we press through this? Is there something that helped you break that mindset? Was there some sort of, let's just say, what helped you get through that wall?
I would say you did. Last year, whenever we started January and we sat down and started dreaming, I know I keep saying dreaming, but that's really all that I do is dream. But you would come in to help me as a business consultant and help me see places that we were hitting brick walls. So you picked up very quickly that I had a mindset concerning finances. And all through our marriage, David has told me that. wanted to be that provider for me, but there's been a brick wall that we've hit up against. And so in that process of saying, Lord, what's that brick wall? That's when those beliefs came to a head, and realizing that I thought that I'm the provider of my home, which is crazy, but it was a belief that I had. And every time the Lord would try to pour out that blessing, there was this, again, me believing that I was the variable to bring those funds to our family. And so I began to just ask the Lord to speak truth in those places of wounding and those places where the enemy had lied to me. And so with that also came freedom in my mind that there's more than enough. That specifically within the wedding community, it's never been about let's fight over brides, but believing that there is more than enough for all of us, and embracing who we are and being confident in that. Yeah. And looking to build a community where we bless each other and we send brides each other's way. So as I began to be strategic about those places of fear and do the very opposite of what my mindset wanted me to do, I began to see freedom break out, and it was such a cool thing.
So what we can learn from Micah as a group of business owners is that our mindsets are really important. And the way we pursue getting free from our mindsets is equally as important. She's pursued her progress and her acceleration in the presence of the Lord. And ultimately, as business owners, we need to live there. We need to rest there, and we need to take our momentum from there. And so as you're listening to us talk, I want you to be thinking about ways that you can get in the presence of the Lord to dream with Him. I want you to be thinking about ways that you can stop striving and rest more and trust more. And then ultimately, I want you to think about what mindsets are keeping me back from the place that God really has already shown me. I want to know if there's any other strategies that you've used in your business consistently to partner with the Lord.
I don't know if this is a strategy, but I would say honor. Going back to the 3 key words of Double Knot, being genuine, inspired, and passionate. Part of being genuine to me is showing honor, not only to my brides, but to my employees. There's such a rich reward that comes from honoring everyone that's around us, down to how we love them, how we listen to them, how we serve them. Always putting their needs before my own, and thinking about what's the Lord saying over them, or why has the Lord brought this bride before me? Finding ways, even if there are challenging situations, to sow honor. And what I found is that as I have sown honor into these brides and families, that as it's been time to grow, that the Lord has brought such genuine people that share the same heart and same vision and mission that I have, that it's not something that I've got to teach them how to love people or how to honor, and to know that you can truly learn something from everyone, even if you're presented with some interesting people.
You are in the wedding industry.
I wish we could write a book on all the funny things that happen, but you got to be adaptable and easygoing, but honor goes a long way.
So you talked about honoring your customers. Aside from just praying for them, have there been practices that you've instilled into your actual business structure to let honor shine?
Yeah. One story that comes to mind was a day that I was shooting a bridal session, and the girl was beautiful. I picked up early on that she didn't realize how beautiful she was. And so as we were beginning the photo shoot, I was doing everything I could to get her to loosen up and be herself in front of the camera. And I heard the Lord say, tell her she's beautiful. And so I took a photo of her. I turned my camera around and looked her in the eyes, and I said, did you know how beautiful you are? And she started bawling, and her family was all around. It was the first time I'd met her. They were freaking out, wondering, what did you do to our daughter? And I didn't know if I should just tuck tail and run or just embrace what I said. And I turned to them and I said, she's beautiful. And she, wiped her tears away and said, that's the one thing I don't believe about myself. And that was such a cool moment for me to be able to release life over her so that she could believe she was as beautiful as how everyone else saw her. So it was a really amazing moment.
And what I love about that story is it kind of brings us back to what Micah was talking about mindsets. Like, she took honor and she took what she noticed while she was resting in the Lord, even while she was shooting this bride, when she was shooting her pictures. And she was able to help this bride change her mindset about how she saw herself and really help her get over something that had been a hindrance. And that's why it's important, because we're not in business. We're not just about the occupation. We're not just about our skill. We're not just about our talent. We're about the people. And when we can hear the presence of the Lord tell us to see people, we can change moments. And that was a great example of that. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Tai Ann TV. I can tell you that you've really had a great treat looking into Micah Schmidt's business. I've had the honor and the pleasure of working alongside of her and working with her business, and I can tell you that everything that they do really is in excellence, and it honors the character and the presence of the Lord. So this week, I'm going to be sending out more details on how you can join in partnering with the Lord in your business and where you're standing, and some of the ways that Micah talked about in today's interview. So if you haven't already done so, make sure you sign up for our email list, because you don't want to miss any of these. And until next time, make sure that you remember you're part of a coalition of greatness and that you do matter, and what you do in your business can impact society.